All right, and we are recording, and I am here, and you are here. Hello, Alex. Hello, YouTube. Hello, the world. The entire world. It's good to see you all.
You look very serious today.
I am
Maybe.
serious today. I'm ready to go, man. I'm going
Yeah,
to be
you look.
spending the next 24 hours awake, and so I need to caffeinate.
Oh, you're highly caffeinated right now, I see.
No, I actually, quite the contrary. I had some nice chamomile lavender tea.
Really?
Yeah, that's like
Oh,
some
okay.
sleepy time tea.
That's the opposite.
So I'm just training my body to fight it.
This
Okay,
is this is where all the training comes into play.
exactly. Tomorrow is
Jeez.
when everything happens. Okay, anyway, this will be best of three, an episode of us talking about Dota's animation. Is it anime?
Mm,
It's not anime, is it?
it's an anime.
Do you
I would
think
call it an
people
anime.
get mad at animated cartoons being called anime the same way that like we get mad when people call esports games or games esports when games are not esports?
Okay, give me an example. Is Pokemon an anime?
Yes, because
Okay.
it was made in Japan.
So if it's made in Japan, it's classified as an anime. If it's not, it's an animated TV show.
Correct, I think.
Uh,
I think. I don't know. I don't actually know.
I mean, to me, that makes sense. That makes
What
sense.
is anime is what I'm going to look up.
But if you look at oh man, okay, so if you guys haven't heard, let's start with this. Okay, Dota is getting an animated TV show called Dota Dragon's Blood, and it's
Yeah.
releasing March 25th on Netflix. And this is freaking huge for me as a Dota player.
It's
Freaking huge.
cool. It is really cool. Like I did not expect something like that. The memes on Reddit went crazy because it's all about Dragon Knight, and Dragon Knight's like this kind of obscure character in Dota. Is Dragon Knight like high meta
I
right
mean,
now?
I think he's always around. I would
Always
say
around.
Dragon Knight is always just a solid. He's there.
Right.
He's like he can be good, he can be strong, but like I wouldn't say he's like super top tier ever or like super low tier ever. He's just always there, and he's always like a decent pickup.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if he's going to be portrayed as a decent pickup in this series. It seems almost like The Witcher, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so I was watching the trailer, and
Yes.
if you watch the trailer, I would say the animation style is kind of similar to Castlevania from Netflix, if you've seen
Yes.
that.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen Castlevania, by the way?
Oh yeah, it was really good.
Dude.
Really good,
Oh
really good series.
man. So
So
good.
my question is this, Castlevania, is that an anime, right?
Um. Mm,
Because
mm,
I believe it was classified as an anime. Like when people talk about it, like they were like, "Oh, have you seen Castlevania, like the
yeah.
anime?" And
Yeah.
so I would say if you're talking about the looks and the feel and everything, it's the same thing
I
except in
guess.
Dota. So then how is it not an anime?
You know what? Okay. Okay. I mean, Google tells me that the interpretation of anime is animation originating from Japan. Um,
Okay, okay.
but, but, but I think definitions of things shift over time. You know, what you classify as anime 50 years ago may not be what you classify as anime today. 50 years ago, also, no, we're in the 70s. Yeah, we had anime back then. I was about to say like because
I
my
mean,
my
because
world
we were around
stopped
back
at
then.
Y2K, much like all the clocks, and so
Oh,
I whenever I think 50 years ago, I'm like, oh, okay, we're talking 1950.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. It happens in my brain too. 20 years, man.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, welcome to Best of Three, an esports podcast by Organized Gaming. I'm Mike. This is Alex, and together we chat all about all kinds of things as they relate to esports. Today, like we mentioned, we're talking about the shows that the competitive games have wrought onto our world. None of which actually are like out yet. We're just talking about Dota Dragon's Blood. Just
Say
you know,
this episode is about MOBAs in general,
MOBAs
because
in
there's
general, basically.
MOBAs in general, because we
Yeah.
got Dragon's Blood, and
Uh huh.
then the League
League of
of
Legends
Legends.
Arcane.
Yeah, that was announced a while back that everyone just kind of forgot about,
That
right?
was
So
released. That trailer was released in October of 2019, and I just watched it again recently, and I was like, I totally forgot that this trailer even existed.
me as well. So I was like, oh, Dota's doing it, and then I was like, wait, what, didn't League of Legends do this first? And then I had to go and check, and I was like, oh yeah.
Dota
Um,
got such a
hmm.
leg up here by like quietly going to Netflix and was like, "Hey, go put out our show. Give it a release date. That'll put a fire under League of Legends butt, you know?"
Oh, definitely.
Because League of Legends, they still haven't
Because
put out a release date for their show.
and it got delayed. It was supposed to come out in what, like 2020,
2020.
pandemic, obviously,
2020
and
was 4 years long.
yeah, and then Valorant.
Well, right, yeah, and then they shifted their focus. Not the same people, obviously, they're different teams, but you know they shifted their focus over to Valorant. Most of the execs at Riot, and so they're working on that.
So I wanna okay, so I'm gonna ask you the question. You've seen both trailers. What do you think? What do you think is gonna which is gonna be the better anime? I mean, they go head to head. Obviously, the top two MOBAs. So the TV shows are gonna get compared. Right now, as it stands, what are you excited about?
I think based on trailer alone, Dota Dragon's Blood is going to be the better show because I feel that the animation studios that do whatever style that like Castlevania kind of thing is, like Legend of Korra or
Legend of Korra, yeah,
Avatar, I feel like they usually kill it. I
yeah.
haven't seen a bad show animated like that, so I'm now conditioned to believe that it's going to be good. Versus League of Legends, that one it feels very like a Blizzard animated video kind of thing. Like when Blizzard puts out those like Overwatch videos and that kind of thing. It's like, okay, it's gonna be okay and it's gonna be viewed by a lot of people, but it's not gonna be like a good show.
The quality. I mean, I got to agree with you a little bit there. I'm also conditioned, like Netflix has been killing it with their originals, and
Yes.
I enjoy many of Netflix's originals, and I think they do a fantastic job, and they've done a fantastic job, have a good track record with a lot of other animes that they've brought to Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah, so but Riot, they're gonna take on their anime themselves. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little concerned that it's gonna end up something like the Warcraft movie or something like that.
Oh
So
man, the Warcraft movie. I didn't see it in theaters. I watched it probably 2 years ago when it was just like randomly on TV, uh,
oh, okay, yeah.
some night. So I watched it, and as much as I wanted to dislike it because everybody disliked it, it
Yeah.
wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. I did not hate it.
I think there's definitely a difference between like really because animes they're all about story. They're
Yeah.
all about that, they dive real deep and they build these worlds and everything. And I feel like some animated or CG sort of type shows, they make it about the graphics or
Hmm.
like what it looks like, and it's less about the story. And I think Dota's gonna have the better story there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, already Dota, like if anybody wants to get into the Dota lore, there's a lot of Dota lore that has been created. Like it's not just these five people on one side are facing off against these five people on the other side. Like there are individual stories for every single one of those people. And same thing
There's
for
what,
League of
like
Legends.
130, 40, 50 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a lot of lore to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's just as much lore, I would say, for League of Legends at this point, but
definitely.
it's been fleshed out through like books and series and comics and that kind of stuff. They've done a good job at really monetizing their characters. I think Dota has done, just historically, not as good of a job promoting their characters as people. And I think that this show will be kind of the first step
Yes.
into like a whole treasure trove of stuff that they can do.
I'm so excited, man. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Like they haven't done this before. It's something that like I look at Riot and I'm always jealous. They're like, "Hey, they're putting out shows, they're putting out like card games, fighting
Hmm.
games, shooting games, like, all different types of stuff and like and many things within the world of League of Legends, right? Legends of Runeterra, whatever. All of that and I look at it and I'm like, "Man, what is Valve doing?"
Right. Right. And I
So
mean,
I'm really happy to see this. Like so happy.
yeah, and I mean it's interesting because now like we're seeing this shift in MOBAs into a, how do you keep your game alive past just the game? Now obviously League, it's got this like weird staying power at this point that it's not going away for anytime soon. Its player base is still very alive and healthy. But I think it's done that by diversifying what its brand is. It's, it has itself as an esport, but it also has itself as, all of these other games, like you said, Legends of Runeterra. It's got Valorant now. It's got these high quality games that attract so many different people just to the brand, and so the name Riot is being tossed out over and over and over, getting in people's heads, getting in people's minds as like, oh yeah, League of Legends, that's in my head. Maybe I'll go and play that. And then they, dedicate 12 hours of their life every week to playing League of Legends. Like,
That's the strategy though. So like
mm-hmm.
if you look at MOBAs, they're grueling. The learning curve is super steep. There's so much to know.
It
Like
can be
you
incredibly
practically have to
toxic.
study it. Yeah, it's toxic and it's really hard to find people to even teach you or
Yes.
to be welcomed and get better. All of that stuff. So how do you get, the much more wider mainstream audience to look into your game?
Yeah.
You do these types of things, like a card game, so much easier to get into. You learn a little bit about the characters, you learn about the lore a little bit maybe and how like basically the game functions and you can grow from there. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to know more, you can, hey, there's comics, TV shows, whatever. You do all this and you learn to love these characters and then you're like, I gotta play the game.
Yeah. No, exactly. Do people, although I did mention that Legends of Runeterra is a part of that package, do people play that? Do people play Legends of Runeterra? When you're over at Waves, do you see people bring up Legends of Runeterra?
I honestly, Waves has been closed for a while now, so there's that. But
Do you
um,
have it on your computers?
I do not. I
Well,
do not. Yeah. So it's out there, and that's the strategy,
I
anyways.
think it's also
That's
being played a lot more than Artifact, so let's just say that.
I don't know if there's a single person playing Artifact right now at this moment.
Oh no.
Nah, 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 there must be. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe
I'm just
one. Maybe one. And they're just like
yeah.
sitting in the longest queue.
So Dota has attempted to do
Oh, they've
similar stuff.
tried.
They have Underlords. They have Artifact Tanked, obviously,
Yeah.
which was their card game. Underlords is their chess game.
I still
That
see
goes
you log
straight
into
against PC.
Underlords, by the way.
Oh yeah, I love Underlords.
Yeah,
I
it's
I
weird. Like
definitely play.
I keep my Steam on now, and every now and then I see like a little pop up of you going into Underlords. I'm like, whoa, okay, cool, dang.
I play on my phone, and it's a good it's my go-to mobile game, right?
Oh wow,
Like, hey, I'm gonna take my dog for a walk. We're gonna walk around. I'm gonna play some of this, or I'm gonna, go to the bathroom, and I got some time there.
there you go,
Like,
there you
yeah,
go. I was gonna say that's everybody's toilet game for sure.
definitely, yeah. And like, I want to see them bring out a new battle pass for Underlords as well. And that's a whole different thing. But yeah, so I think what's really interesting about this though
Mm-hmm.
is how this can set sort of a precedent or how a precedent has been set for like how to grow your game.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's not like you're just a game developer and you put out this sort of brand or this game, and then I think the traditional model was you put out some like toys and merch and stuff like that, and those types of things. But to really solidify, I think we need more. People demand more, and something that Fortnite Epic has done really well already.
Yep.
Right? I think they set a really high bar for this type of crossover into mainstream pop culture. So that's what all these other game developers are trying to emulate, I think.
100%. No, you're absolutely right. That's it. It's getting it into the eyes and the ears of the people who aren't even going to play it. Because those are the people who are going to be talking about it the most, saying like, oh, I have no idea what this game even is. And those are the people who, when presented with the opportunity to go and download that game or try it out, then they're more likely to go and do it. And then the people who actually do it are more likely to go and play the game and become good at it, and potentially go into their, tournament scene and perpetuate that game as a competitive game even more. And another thing with Fortnite too is the art style really strikes me. Just today I was watching the Nintendo Direct. Nintendo's put out their first Direct in a year and a half. And there was this one game that is it called Knockdown or something? No, Anyway, there's some like new dodgeball kind of game where you're supposed to catch dodgeball and hit someone else with it. You have your team, you pass to your team or whatever. But the commercial for it looked very much like Fortnite. And so the second I saw somebody walk up, they had like a Call of Duty mask on, like dressed up as a person from Call of Duty, but it was done in a Fortnite kind of style. And I was immediately reminded for a different game. And I was immediately reminded of Fortnite. I was like, oh, this is Fortnite for Switch again?
It's a Call of Duty skin in a Fortnite looking game that is about dodgeball.
Yes, exactly.
That's very interesting.
It's called Knockout City. Knockout City is the game.
Man, yeah. I mean, I guess if those things are so recognizable that you're like, hey, that's Fortnite, hey, that's Call of Duty, you instantly recognize, I mean, it could be a good thing, could help them, or maybe not.
And I mean, also it was made by EA, and EA kind of has this, I'll call it a habit of creating, yeah, exactly, of kind of cherry picking the relevant things of the day, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I do want to also spend a little bit of time talking about that Direct, because that was
what else happened there?
Yeah, so I mean, apart from all the games that were released that are fun little retail games, like Monster Hunter, and I think like a bunch of indie titles, like a lot of JRPGs this time around, like very, very much into the JRPGs right now, which also kind of makes sense because everybody's kind of stuck to their local teams right now, what with COVID. Right. So you develop the things that your cohort is interested in. Anyway, the things that kind of struck me about that one, we're getting another Splatoon game, which is crazy to me that Splatoon never really got off the ground in competitive. But it kind of had the same problem that most Nintendo games have, just that Nintendo doesn't really put too much money down their stuff. It's weird, right? Like they make a competitive game that they don't want to be competitive.
It makes no sense to me, and we've gone into that, and we don't have to get into that again, but what the hell, Nintendo? What? Come on.
And it looks so good. Like, Splatoon has the potential to be one of the great shooters that are out there right now. And for whatever reason, they just don't want to support it. And you need to support it if you want to get it out there.
Nintendo. All right. What about, did they mention anything about Apex?
They did. They talked about Apex Legends. It's going to be coming out on the Switch end of March, somewhere around the 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. And you dropped a little bit of a factoid about Apex Legends to me just before we started.
Yeah. 2 years. Apex has been out 2 years. They've made $1 billion.
That's crazy to me.
Like everyone's like, oh, look at Valorant, look at these games, look at whatever's hot right now. But like Apex is doing well. It's alive.
Right?
And yeah, I mean, Parabellum, our esports team here, we actually just dropped a roster for announced a roster for Apex as well. So getting back into it. We
And
had
that's a
one
free
previously, and
game.
yeah, free
Okay,
game,
so
free to play.
tell me
Yeah.
how they do it. I've never played a single game of Apex in my life. Tell me how they do it.
How do you play Apex?
No, no, no. How did they make $1 billion off of a free game?
Oh, skins, man.
Really?
Skins. It's all about skins and battle pass, right?
Mm.
So they have a sort of freemium model for the battle pass, which I really love, and I think it's something that I want to say Dota invented the battle pass. I don't know if that's true, but like they were one of the first to really use it, and especially to use it to
One of the
crowd fund
yeah.
prize pools.
Yes.
But so what Apex does is they have a freemium model on this battle pass where there's a whole row of free tier items as you level up the battle pass.
Okay.
And underneath it, it shows all the super nice shiny stuff that you would have got if you had the premium battle pass.
And at any point you can go and buy that battle pass and get
You get
all of the stuff you've missed
and more.
and more.
So
Wow.
and it's just such it's how they got me, right? I was like, oh, free game. I'm gonna play this a little bit of it in my free time. Like, oh man, I'm leveling it up. I maxed it out. I'm like, look at all these items I did not get. Like, okay. So I figured out if you buy the battle pass, you get enough coins back to buy the battle pass next. And you max it out. If you max it out, you get enough coins to buy the next battle pass. So I just got to buy it once. And as long as I level it up to max every time, I get a free battle pass. So I'm
Okay.
okay with that. I'm good with that.
And did that work? Did you buy the next battle pass with the coins for the current battle pass, or
This
is
was
this
the
the first
first
one?
battle pass that I
Oh.
purchased, but already I've started spending more money than that.
So
It's
you
just
could game the system, but no.
that initial hump, and once you've spent some money, you're gonna spend some more money.
Of course.
It's
Of course.
yeah.
Well,
So I haven't
that's
spent
how
too
they get
much,
you.
but I'm really enjoying that right now. I thought what also was interesting that I was reading about Apex is that Switch is so massive and just dominating in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and like Apex is doing really well, so they wanna get it out to the Asian market. Apparently, Japan loves Apex; they really enjoy it. So they're like, why not make it even more accessible by putting it on one of the most popular consoles in Japan?
Right.
So they're like, we'll put this out on Switch, and that was sort of how they came to that decision because they're specifically targeting the Japanese market for
But is Switch really the place to do it? Like, can
that.
you be competitive on the Switch with games like that?
We're just going back to these game developers really thinking about how can we reach more people.
Right.
It's
Right. Yes.
it's if you're playing on the Switch, you're not gonna be competitive. You're just gonna get a taste of it and be like, oh, I like this game. If I want to get
Yeah.
more competitive, maybe I'll get it on PC.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And that's like I have so much I have respect for the companies that do that. They try and get the name of their brand out there by putting it on these systems where it plays in kind of a subpar way, but it gets you just enough of a taste to really get
Hmm.
into it in another place. Um, like for me, the game that I was incredibly disappointed with was Arena of Valor. Uh,
Oh,
that was the MOBA that went to Switch, and everybody was super excited about that because it was a mobile game, kind of like a Mobile Legends kind of thing, that was ported to the Switch, and it has a lot of similar controls. Um, if I remember, because I played it like 2 years ago at this point, but if I remember correctly, it still used touch controls, and it made your Switch get so hot that like
uh,
my fingers were burning by the end of a single game. And so now
so
it's
cops
put
can't ID you anymore.
exactly they can't, and it was a good thing, and that's why I continue to play Arena of Valor to this day. But Um, the thing that kind of scares me is that was a game made by Tencent, and Tencent
Yeah.
is also the company making Pokemon Unite. And I really want to get into Pokemon Unite, but I have a
Mm.
major big feeling based on the trailer that it showed before that it's going to be basically an
It's
Arena
a
Valor
reskin.
reskin. Yeah.
It's a reskin.
And if it comes to Switch, I'm going to be sad. If it does come for mobile, it will come for mobile because I've actually pre-registered it for it, because you can do that in Canada right now.
In Canada, go
In
pre-read,
Canada.
find it on Google Play Store. I already did it. Mike did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it makes my Pixel get too hot to handle, I'm going to be incredibly upset. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to just emulate it on like a BlueStacks or a Nox or something on their
Right.
computer, but you know,
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for it. I want to see how it is, but again, my expectations are not super high either.
no.
So, like as long as it's a decent game, like maybe I'll play it for a bit and, we'll see how it goes. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Let's keep talking about this a little bit after we take a little break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Activision Blizzard aiming for Sunday Night Football, as well as the difference between mainstream appeal versus custom competitive gaming. All that and more when we come back to Best of Three. And we're back. Welcome back to Best of Three. A little bit of laughter because we didn't actually take a break, but you did. So I'm glad that you got a chance to, get a little bit of respite. So we're
Good
talking
haircut,
about
Mike, by the way.
what's that?
Thanks for the heads up there,
Oh yeah,
Mike, by
no,
the way.
you're worried. You're no worries. No worries. You're good. Uh, so let's talk a little bit more about Pokemon Unite. Have you seen any of the leaks for it?
I've seen like the trailer type, but I haven't seen any leaks or anything like that
Okay.
beyond that.
So by trailer, you're talking when they like first revealed it a year and a half
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't really looked at it since, so I can't quite remember what it looked like, but
Right. It's very much like a Heroes of the Storm kind of like you're in this one very somewhat large base at one side and your opponent's at comically large base on the other side. It's looking like your Pokemon do evolve as you play, which is pretty
oh,
interesting.
cool.
Um,
I like that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They haven't shown too much by ways of like how the combat style works, how the, uh, how any of the gameplay works at all, how the resources work. But I can only assume that as it's a MOBA, you're just going to be running around trying to collect as much resources as possible through getting, your minion kills and your Pokemon KOs or whatever. And leveling up to evolve and go and win that way.
LSI. Yeah, it looks like yeah, it has the 3 lanes
Yeah.
like you normally see, and yeah, very. Yeah, you're right. The graphics are very reminiscent of sort of those mobile MOBAs. It
Mm-hmm.
does. Yeah, mobile games, they have hardware restrictions and stuff like that, and like it's not going to be like gorgeous, gorgeous games if you don't want your phone to burn off your fingertips. So, but I think it looks good enough for a mobile game that I would definitely play. I see some Charmander action here, obviously,
Yeah.
one
It
of my
looks like
favorite
they're
Pokemon.
going real hard with the skins and the monetization like that.
Yeah. I'm curious what skins would you unlock, like a shiny skin for your Pokemon or something?
Well,
Like, are you limited to the one skin? Like, you can get Alolan and Galarian maybe, or
I'm seeing a Cinderace dressed up like a pirate. I'm seeing
oh, they're actually
yeah,
dressed
oh
up.
yeah, their clothes. They're straight up clothes.
Oh, geez. Okay, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
You've got like this fancy looking Mr. Mime with like a yellow tuxedo with a big yellow top hat. Like it's not bad. It's not bad. It's cute.
okay, okay.
It's cute.
I don't know if I would spend money on a mobile game. The only mobile game that I have spent money on is Pokemon Go, and I've spent like $5.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've never bought into like the under. Well, you just said you were just talking about the Underlords battle pass.
They also have a freemium model. You can play up
Oh,
to a certain level and then have to pay to unlock the rest.
oh, okay. So you
So
just
yeah,
play
yeah,
until that level.
yeah. It's
Okay.
they need more content.
So what does mobile gaming need to do to get your money?
I don't think mobile gaming could really get my money like as
Oh.
like my money in the same way that like Dota or Apex is going to get my money. Just because those are my main games. Like to get my money, you'd have to be my main game,
I
and
see.
my main game's not going to be on mobile. So like
Right.
that's really what I'd say. Like mobile is going to be a side game for me, and in that case, I'm not going to spend a ton of money there. You know,
Okay. So I mean, this is an interesting conversation too. It's what my 2 cents on that. Like I play a lot of mobile games. I have the folder of stuff on my home screen, but I will say that my mobile gaming experience is very distracted because my phone is like everything. It handles my calls, it
oh,
handles my messages, it handles my emails. I can just check everything from there, and you can do that on a computer too. But I have two monitors that I can multitask so much better, so much more efficiently while I'm on the computer. So if it's gaming that I'm looking to do, I'm usually doing it from my computer. I have my phone in case it's like super late night and I can't sleep or anything. I'm just like, you know what? I just want to go and play some, I don't know, Hearthstone or something. Then I'll just pull that up on my phone and play mobile Hearthstone. Which,
wait,
by the way, when that first came out, never touched it. I did not touch mobile Hearthstone. I think a lot of people didn't. I don't know
okay,
what
what
changed.
changed?
I don't know
Well,
what
no,
changed.
you don't know what changed.
No,
It's just
no, because the desktop experience is so much better for Hearthstone, but
right.
the mobile experience has everything.
Sometimes
It's
it's tough
not a
to fit all
diluted
that
experience.
too. Underlords, when it first came out, they had to fit everything, and it felt really crammed.
Did it?
Um,
Yes, it
yeah,
did
it
actually.
yeah, but they sort of figured it out, and now it's a lot better
Is
playability on
it?
mobile. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I used to be like, I can't play this on mobile. I actually have to play on PC, but now like it's the same thing. I actually thought that I performed worse on mobile, even
Hmm.
though it's like kind of you get some time and whatever, but like I couldn't move as quickly, and it
I
was making me
absolutely thought
angry.
that. I
Yeah.
absolutely thought that I performed worse on mobile than I did on desktop. Because I mean that's the whole thing. This auto chess movement started on Dota Auto Chess, and that was on computer. And then everyone was like, "Oh, this is a perfect mobile game. We've got to make it mobile." And then they, ported it all over to mobile, and it was bad. It was all a very bad experience. Auto chess was not fun on mobile. Underlords was, tough to play. Even like TFT, yeah. It's hard to play on mobile, and they're slowly making their changes and adapting it to mobile. But for a while there, it was just like who could get there first kind of thing.
Yeah. It was all about speed and just getting it on mobile. They didn't
Yeah.
really care how. So,
And this is another thing that like circles back to Riot is like, man, they whenever they make a game, they make it like a mainstay. Like
mm.
TFT is now a main section
Oh yeah.
of League of Legends.
And that's why like Riot has a track record though of just doing stuff and it working. Like I don't
Yeah.
see them putting something out and it's like, ah, it didn't do well, let's fold it and like whatever. They like everything they do turns to gold.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, really again, really jealous when I'm looking at that and then looking over at Valve. So
Yeah. Cuz Dota's too big, man. Like I can play Dota off of the same platform that I play Bloons TD6. Like it's the exact same platform. It has no staying power in terms of its name. However, I will say that like most people have Steam on their computer now.
definitely. Yeah, Steam is definitely the biggest. I mean, I've had storage issues. I've actually uninstalled everything other than Steam and my Steam games.
There you
So
go.
I don't have BattleNet anymore. I don't
Wow.
have Origin. Like I just didn't have the space, so I removed them. And
Good
you
for
know what?
you.
Like the only game that I really wanted from there was Apex, and it came to Steam. The only other one that I wish I could play sometimes is Overwatch.
Mm,
Yes, yeah.
Overwatch is a good one. It is a good one. Speaking of, let's
Yeah.
transition into Activision Blizzard, who is aiming for Sunday
Yeah.
Night Football, giving that treatment to primetime Overwatch League. Uh, Alex, tell me about what that means. What does that mean?
Really, I think it's just sort of the theme of the night for us, I think, is
Mm,
how are these game developers going to get their not only their game but esports out to the mainstream. So Activision Blizzard is like they're looking to well they've brought on a former NFL executive,
mm,
um, so they have that as well. But they I guess drawing from their experience, they want to treat these Overwatch League games like Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, like these primetime slots where maybe I don't have time to watch like, 4 or 5 games of Overwatch League, on a weekly basis or things like that. I want to watch one game between the biggest teams, the ones with the biggest rivalries right now, the ones that are doing the best right now. And that's really where they're seeing it. And they're like, okay, we'll take, like whoever the two biggest teams are at the moment, and we're gonna throw them in a prime time slot on YouTube,
hmm
and we're going to make sure that the mainstream can watch this as a shining example of the best of Overwatch League or the best of Call of Duty League. They're giving it that primetime treatment.
Interesting. I like that, and I think I've just. Oh wow, that kind of hits me in a weird way because like I'm gonna bring this right back to Dota because we're talking about that today, and
Mm.
it's gotten so rooted in my head. Um, Whenever you look at big tournaments, you always see like the Saturday that it brought in 60,000 people,
Right.
400,000 people, and had a prize pool of $50 million. And that's that one Saturday, and then you never see it again.
Yes.
And then Dota dies for the rest of the year.
It's
And
the
like
the
nobody
only time
talks
that it's
about it.
relevant, once a
Yes,
year.
it's the one time that it's relevant, and all the people who are still playing it come out and make a lot of money, and
Right.
that's it. But now to give something like Overwatch or any competitive game, the ability to like just over time create this like staple that at 7 o'clock on every Saturday you're going to have a Overwatch League match come out on YouTube. Like that to me makes so much more sense because you're keeping the game relevant just by showing consistent good content that you know still pays but is paid over time.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely ties into what we were talking about earlier about reaching that mainstream, right? The mainstream audience is not going to sit there and watch an entire tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. They want to see one game. They want to watch what it's about. Even casual sports fans. I'm not going to watch the entire league of the NFL or whatever it may be if I'm not a fan, but I may watch the Super Bowl. So
Mm-hmm.
you just want to give them that real big example, once a week of the two best teams, and like just let them take that in little by little and digest it and become more and more invested in the game. And then
Right.
maybe they'll be willing to watch more matches that aren't in prime time, or seek out the other league matches. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, there it is, right? Is like Dota has just the Super Bowl every year.
Right.
Overwatch is looking to create the thing that Dota should have on top of the Super Bowl. They should have the Super Bowl, then they should also have Sunday Night Football. They should also have like all of the stuff every week leading up to it, which they kind of do, but they don't put nearly as much effort into showing that off or talking about that as they do the international.
So like, but if you look at all these leagues that are out there, everyone is regularly scheduling, of course, their matches. Like
Yes.
you can expect these things, but the idea of really just saving that primetime slot that 1 hour or whatever it may be, um, for the best match that it could possibly be that week, and really highlighting that as like
Mm.
everyone should watch this one. Rather than like you should watch the Saturday. Um, it's like I think it's a fantastic idea to get to that mainstream audience.
So what would you consider a prime time slot?
I don't know what a primetime slot for YouTube is though, so it's
Mm.
not really like TV. Or maybe it is. Maybe it overlaps, and it's
Maybe they leverage
entirely
the
the same.
premiere function. I don't know. Maybe they make it
Um,
live.
well, obviously they have a deal with YouTube. They have the exclusive rights to the Overwatch League and Call of Duty League
Mm.
on YouTube. So they'll obviously work with YouTube to figure out, the best possible time to put this out.
Right.
And yeah,
So maybe that's looking to like pin it to their front page, maybe their live page, something like that.
yeah,
Saying like, oh, everybody go and watch, you know, Overwatch League is happening right now. Everybody go to it. That kind of thing.
right. And
Hmm.
I really hope, and from what I hear, that they really promote the hype of this match. Tell a little bit of story. Like, yeah, we got like, 5 games happening this week, but this is the game of the week that we're talking about. This team, like the Defiant versus, the Titans, who will win in Canada?
Yeah.
Who is the best Overwatch league in Canada in the North? And like they play that up and they can promote that throughout the week and really just sort of funnel everybody to that one match. And I
Hmm.
think yeah, it's going to grow their viewership. Their viewership is actually, based on what I'm reading, growing.
Hmm.
But we don't know
That's so
that.
strange because the general outlook is that the game is declining, but
I think that's for a lot of people who aren't
who aren't
in
in
it,
it. Mm.
and especially in NA.
Mm.
Because the game is still really big in Asia and other parts of the world where it's a lot bigger than here, and it's like maybe it's absolutely massive there, but we just don't feel that because we're in NA, right?
Right.
But if you look at the numbers, like the numbers are there, they are growing, and like they're maybe they're bots, maybe they're not, but
Kind of the same thing that people say about like about Apex Legends is
right,
like it is there, and if you are playing it, then you know that it is
yeah,
there. Mm.
for sure. And I think that's really what it is, and I think that's what they're trying to do is like it's happening in the background. People aren't really, you know, it's not at the front of their mind. If you're not a true Overwatch fan, we need to change that, and
Mm.
that's what they're doing.
And I mean, this is kind of what I would say needs to happen with just esports in general is like big places like YouTube, which is very focused on not just the competitive and not just the like the gaming, to kind of put that on its front lines without segmenting it to its own like oh YouTube gaming kind of side of it.
Mhm.
This kind of brings it into the mainstream. You look at things like Twitch, for example. Twitch is a great streaming platform. Twitch is great for hosting your tournaments on. However, Twitch is made for it basically at this point. Like, not a lot of people go on to Twitch and do the whole just chatting thing. Not as much, certainly as compared to the people who are playing those competitive games. You look at like the top three, and I'm not looking at it right now, but I'm pretty sure that I can guess that it's going to be something like Fortnite, League of Legends, and probably Apex Legends. Those are your top three on Twitch, and those are all highly competitive games. So putting
Definitely.
something on the front page there kind of makes sense, but you also have the audience there that can naturally funnel their way in. You're not bringing anybody's eyes over to it for the first time. They at least have some kind of awareness of it. YouTube.
I,
Yeah,
well,
sorry. One more thing
yeah,
about
yeah,
that. I
go
know
for it, go for
I'm talking a big spiel about this, but YouTube, it like by putting it on their front page, you've got all of the people who are watching videos for all kind of different things, looking at this and being like, "Oh, this is big gaming competition. Let's see what this is about. Oh, what's this game?" Then they look it up, then they download it, then they play it, then they play it a lot, then they go competitive, and then they get money. Like it's a whole thing.
it. It is. That's definitely the cycle, and that's
And
that's what
rank.
they're aiming for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, And yeah, I think, oh man, I lost my thought.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I should all that's my lesson. I should always let you speak when you have the thought. Just
um,
wait a couple seconds, it's gone.
it's gone. It's
Yeah.
gone. It's out of here.
Putting
Um,
YouTube,
what
putting
was
the competitions on the main page.
yeah. Um, s- the thing about esports, I think the problem that esports has is they looked at sports and they were like, we can do this. Sports leagues exist, everyone watches every game, and stats and like fantasy sports exist, all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people thought that that was just going to happen around esports, and I think they didn't expect it to really require so much work and building and years of growth and things like that. And now I think this is where people are really fine tuning and looking at it like, okay, we can't just have fantasy esports exist because esports exists.
Right.
We have to grow people who are that invested into the game, and then we'll spill over to fantasy esports or whatever, sort of all this around it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love what Activision is doing here. Highlight one match a week, and that's all you need to digest.
Yeah.
And you can grow it from there. Really go back and really just sort of look at it from a like a lower, not lower, but like developmental stage. You can't skip all that.
They've got to
Got to go through it.
grow. They've got to grow this generational interest in their game by having, dad is always watching Overwatch or Call of Duty competitions at this time on Saturday. Don't bother dad, don't bother mom while they're watching their
Exactly.
OWL, their CDL, and then the kids, they get into it as they grow up. I mean, that's what
Ritual. Now every Monday I'm watching Overwatch League.
that's
Whatever.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now I'm watching, now I'm playing, now I'm getting my college sponsorships, now I'm playing on the varsity team. It's a whole, like, this has been happening with sports for centuries. And
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
the way that they needed to grow esports in the traditional sports mentality, not in the, you know, not just always looking at sports as the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup.
you
Because
can you
the
can put a 50 mil prize pool, and that
yes,
will instantly get you a Super Bowl, but that won't get you an NFL.
right.
Yeah,
Right. 100%. 100%. I
yeah.
like where we've landed. Let's leave it at that. Um, to wrap it all up, I think we've talked that one to death. I want to bring one more time. Final question. Is the transition from competitive games to anime good? Can anime go the other way? That is my question to you. Those are my
Can an anime
questions.
become a competitive game?
Yes, that
That's
is
what
my
you're asking
question.
me.
Will we see ever the Naruto esport?
I
They've tried.
don't
God, they've
like
tried.
that. I don't like that at
Really?
all, actually. As cool as that would be, like you can if you go into the custom games of Dota or whatever, you can find skins of the game where you're anime characters or you're this or that or whatever. And it's really cool, but it's not what it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
It's Naruto will not be Naruto if it's in a MOBA or an FPS or a whatever it is. It's just not what it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
And I think it can exist, but it won't be fantastic.
Right.
It won't be mind blowing. It won't.
It does work kind of well in a fighting game, though. It does work kind of well in the fighting game community, though.
Dragon Ball is a very good exception. So
Hmm.
fighting games are a fantastic exception because there's no real story or like, all of those things. It doesn't really exist. You can focus just on the fight scenes that would have happened in an anime and put it into a
Yes.
game.
Yes. There's so much imagination that goes into that. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
it's a competitive game like a Dota or something, it's not gonna be the same like an FPS or it's yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so is the transition the other way though from competitive games to animation? Is that good?
See. We'll
I
have
guess
to
we'll see.
we'll
Yeah,
yeah,
they
like
need to
has it
make them
happened before? We'll
first.
see. Yeah.
Last time it happened was again in the fighting game community. Yeah, Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Y- Yeah, it existed.
it existed. They made it what in the 90s or the 80s or something like that. They haven't really gone back to that.
Right. So I think just as much as if anime sort of works the other way because it only focuses on the fighting,
Mm-hmm.
to turn a fighting game into an anime doesn't make sense because it's not going to have story. You're taking just the fighting aspects and like those parts may be cool,
Yeah.
but the
You're like
story is going to
really gonna have to
suffer.
develop your characters if you want to make a story out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And fighting characters tend to be very, one-dimensional. So
Exactly. All right. And with that, that is going to be the end of this week's podcast. Everybody, I hope you had a wonderful time. I had a great time. Alex, where can people find you?
find me at my donut shop on Instagram at Crispy Kim Donut, or you can find me on Twitter at Crispy Kim.
And then, of course, you can find me at Still Just Mike. Anywhere you find your people, you can find this podcast anywhere you find your podcasts at BO3 Podcast, best of three, of course. Next week, Alex, I think do we need to talk about Valheim? Valheim?
Yeah. What is this game
All
that
right.
is like taking over?
Yep, we gotta talk about this next week. Cool. All right, I'll see you next week, everybody. Bye bye.